Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a special Rangers Review breaking news video. Some big news to bring you, of course. You may have seen it this afternoon. The man to my left-hand side broke the news that Ianis Hagi has returned to first-team training at Rangers. And we've also received the news that Dujon Sterling has signed a contract extension as well. To discuss both of these, big news, of course. Joshua joins me. How's it going, Joshua?
It's going good. It's going good. You're in a football concourse somewhere in the south of England, I think.
Yeah, I'm down in Northampton, which, I've came down. It's about a 2.5 hour journey from my house. And we've just been told that there is a realistic chance the game will be called off because of heavy rainfall. So could be heading back up the road. Who knows? But let's hope the game's on. The pitch looks in good nick. But that's not why people are tuning in, of course.
No.
Because the big news, Joshua, Ianis Hagi is back amongst the first-team squad. Of course, won't be available. We're not part of the European squad for the match against Lyon on Thursday night. But imagine he'd be in contention for Sunday. This is... Quite some news, not something I expected today.
No, I mean, it's obviously been a big story that's kind of been one of the overriding stories of Rangers summer. Derek in the background. Hagi spoke before he went to Euro 2024 with Romania, where he made pretty open comments about the fact that he did not know of his future lay at Rangers. Clement didn't speak about it until a couple of months ago when he was asked if Hagi was part of his plans, and he said pretty plainly no. It went on to expand as to the reasons why. It later emerged that there was a contractual complication, shall we call it, that was influencing the decision of Rangers to not just, reinstate Hagi into the team before trying to get him out the door before the end of the transfer window. So there's a risk of a lot of revisionism existing within this story. But what has happened is I think there's been a desire from both sides. Hagi earlier in the window, the potential of looking at another club and looking for a move. Rangers later in the window, trying to get him out of the door effectively, and being open to that possibility. He was involved with the B team for that contract reason, but things have changed since then in a number of ways. Believe that, as we said in the story that we broke earlier today, there's been conversations between the two parties to resolve the situation that had led to Hagi being in the B team, and there was, an attitude from either side that there had to be a resolution here, because where the situation was maybe a month ago, the transfer window was still open. There was still the potential of Hagi leaving the club. He's been in the B team, Derek, and I'm sure we'll come on to speak about this a little bit more. He's of no use to Rangers in the B team, even if long-term their plan was to get him out the door and to move him out of the club. He's a far more attractive proposition if he's playing in a first team than a B team. He's been back training with the squad. He was in training today, and he was pictured today, as people have seen on the Rangers kind of training gallery as well. As you say, he's not in contention for Thursday night because he's not in the Europa League squad, but he is back in Philippe Clement's first team squad. He'll be asked about it tomorrow at the press conference ahead of the Lyon game. But you're right, it's a big development. I think it makes sense because you look at the lack of options that Clement has in that number 10 position. It's leading to Bajrami playing off the left at points at the moment. There is of no use for Rangers to have Hagi in the B team squad. And if a situation could have been worked out, as is materialised, that works for both parties, he wants to play at the moment. He doesn't want to spend a year in the B team. It makes sense for Rangers, if they could sort out this contract situation, which we are led to believe that they have, to also have him involved in the first team and have him playing some sort of role. That's what's materialised, and now Clement has him to call upon, and it'll be interesting to see if he is in the squad when St Johnstone come to Ibrox on Sunday night.
Yep, he's going to enhance this squad, Joshua. Do you reckon? I look at it right now, and it's a squad I think that can do with a Ianis Hagi type there. I'm not saying he's a second coming and he's going to be a standout performer, but he's an option, and he's a quality option for Rangers, and they are a bit devoid of those options. We know Barrie's been brought in. That aside, though, you're looking at creativity in that team, and he's someone that can create. He should be used, you'd imagine.
Yeah, a comment here, Derek, from someone asking, does that mean that Rangers don't owe Genk a fee if he makes an appearance? I don't believe they do, but I don't think that was the specific complication that was holding up this deal. I don't think that's what that's why the two parties have been able to agree, as opposed to if it was an instalment to be paid. I think there's a rumor going around that after he made 100 appearances or something like that, Rangers might owe Genk a fee, an extra fee. I don't believe that is the case. What you say, which is why, as I said, the two parties can come to a conclusion, as opposed to having to go out and reach out to Genk, which obviously isn't going to happen. That's not a realistic thing to happen. He's an option. I think that's the best way of putting it. And kind of just speaking to people about this today and seeing the reaction, I don't think anyone, when Clement was asked about Hagi, he was pretty black and white, and I do think that's still a factor, because he still said these things. He made these comments not that recently. But Rangers summer transfer window, you've got to remember the context of it. It was held up and it was frustrated by the fact that they needed to bring the wage bill down, and they needed to increasingly use the money that was freed up in the wage department to fund transfers. So they were trying to get players out. They were trying to get players out on higher wages to bring in players on lower wages, like a Chefty or a Connor Barron. And we've got a story about that on the website today. So that is a context of the summer window, but it's not the situation now. Hagi could have gone back to Romania. He chose not to. No other move really materialised before the end of the window, which means that he has been still playing and training with the B team, and obviously he's fully fit as a consequence. He's a good player, isn't he? I mean, I don't think I think he has weaknesses, and I think players can have this habit of becoming much better when they're out of the fold for a long period of time. Rangers' title-winning season was a few seasons ago. He had really good goals and assist numbers. It remains to be seen where he plays under Clement, because obviously he's played on the wing at different points. Speed isn't his strength, but he's got, as you say, a final ball. We know he can score a goal, and he gives you another option. I think that the basic point, Derek, is that when you consider the fact that Hagi is going to be here until January, at least, until next summer at least, is he of use in the B team? No. Is he a personality who's going to be massively disruptive if he is back in the first team? I don't think so. No. So the option is there that he is an option for you. He is someone who can come on, who can start different games, who gives you a little bit more depth in an area of the pitch that Rangers really lack depth. I mean, Oscar Cortez is injured, Ravi Matondo's injured, Danilo is still injured, Ridvan Yilmaz was back in training today, which is a positive because it gives you a little bit more depth on that left-sided area. But I don't think you want to be moving Chefty up to the left wing a lot. So Hagi gives you variation and options in an area of the pitch that Rangers need. The context was always, well, can they have some sort of resolution here so that they're not making a bad long-term decision? Because if there was another bad long-term decision, and what I mean by that is if there wasn't any resolution over the contract and Hagi did come back in, then you're suddenly tying yourself in maybe to something like a wage rise. And when that happens, it is these long-term decisions that have led Rangers to where they are. They've had to bring the wage bill down. That was a key part of this summer, and one that needs to continue. But because of all that's happened, because there has been this attitude on both sides in recent weeks to find some sort of consolation here, it means that he can come back into the first team squad, and he provides a good option, which Rangers don't have enough of to say no to in the final third at the moment.
Yeah, I'm pleased about it. It's good that we've came to a grown-up solution with regards to this. There was no point, like you say, Joshua, you see him playing in the B team, and of course it's good that he has been doing that. So you'd like to think that he's ready to come straight in and contribute to the team this coming weekend. Of course, news comes fresh off the back of, you may have seen that news this morning, the Romanian FA president, Razvan Burlianu, was saying that he's worried about his situation with Rangers, and they added, this is what he said, but we're sure that Ianis is so talented that he just needs a place where the environment is right for him. Hopefully it will be possible at Rangers. If not, let's hope he gets a transfer when it is possible. So let's hope that he goes on and does well this season for Philip Clement's men. I'm excited about seeing him in the Rangers jersey again. What do you think the reaction is going to be like from the fan base? Certainly looking at social media, Joshua, I'd say the vast majority are pleased that this has been resolved.
Yeah, he's a popular player, isn't he? And kind of has been ever since he came to the club. Again, there is a tendency when a player, whether it be an injury or whatever, there is a tendency for a player to become much better when they're out the fold for a long time. But we know that Hagi, He's an international. He was at Euro 2024. We've seen what he can do in his good moments. And when you look at the Rangers squad at the moment, again, I think that it's a point to keep coming back to. Is there a number of players who are much, much better than him that justifies him playing in the B team for a number of months? No, clearly not. Do I think he's going to make that number 10 position his own for the next 3 years? I'm not sure. And again, Clement has said that publicly in the past, but we know he can be effective. We know he's a talented player, and we know that he can make an impact. And that is the I guess, key point to remember. Rangers don't have a lot of options in this area of the pitch. He's had a really unfortunate spell since that. I remember when he went down in that Stirling Albion game at the start of 2022. Yeah. He'd played quite a lot under Van Bronckhorst, but he hadn't had a great start to the season after being pretty effective in the title-winning season for Rangers, where it was something like 16, 17 goals and assists in the Scottish Premiership as Rangers won the title. He was playing out wide under Van Bronckhorst, but he was kind of a bit of a touchline hugging winger. Didn't seem to suit him that much. He then misses a year of football. He comes back under Michael Beale, takes him a number of months to get up to speed. Then at the start of last season, which feels like an absolute age ago, he obviously goes out on loan to Deportivo Alaves, and he did that press conference, if you remember, where he effectively shared his frustration. And you can understand that at not playing games. You've got to remember, this is someone who, age 20, he's someone who has always grown up with a lot of pressure around him anyway, because of who his dad is, Ianis Hagi, back in Romania, and the pressure that kind of coexists with that. He's had a good couple of seasons, or a good season and a half after coming to Rangers. Then he's kind of had the next year and a half of his career taken out of his hands by the fact that he's had this injury. He had a frustrating loan spell in Spain, and needs to play football. He's I think just turned 26 years old. He needs to play somewhere. Yeah, exactly. Peak years. And he's got, when we interviewed him, I don't know how long it was ago, a couple of years ago, that's something that continued to come through speaking to him. He feels like he's got to make up for lost time, for want of a better phrase, because he missed so much time due to that really, really serious knee injury. But I guess, having, we spoke about it on the show a lot, you'd probably share the sentiment that because a resolution has been made, although Hagi maybe he's not going to be your out-and-out number 10, he gives you options, and he's a good enough player, and Rangers squad isn't good enough to turn that option down.
Yeah, I wonder if Rangers are back in his dad's good books once again, because he was pretty outspoken about them over the summer months. But good to see a resolution has been reached on that one. And then, of course, just following that news, Joshua, we got the news that Dujon Sterling has been rewarded with a new improved contract, and he's tied his future to Ibrox until the summer of 2028. 24 years of age now, Dujon. This is good news as well, is it not?
Yeah, and probably a bit of a mixed reaction, because he's not started the season brilliantly. He's not played a lot of football, and the fact that he signed a 4-year contract last summer. But I think, as Sterling himself said in the press release, it is a contract that's probably reflective of the fact that his role in the Rangers squad now is different compared to last season. He arrived as still kind of a young player who hadn't played many minutes at all until Clement arrived at Rangers, and he was a backup for James Tavernier, because of, I guess, changes in the style of play under Clement, and amongst other things, the injury crisis. Sterling then became a very important player for the remaining few months of the season. He's someone that is now actually as well in the leadership group within the Rangers dressing room. So he is one of the leaders in the squad, and he's viewed as a key player. His season has started pretty slowly. There's still a discussion to be had about, as we've had in the podcast a few times, where is he going to play? Where's his best position? But also, Rangers need to protect their assets. And he is someone who is obviously viewed very highly, maybe hasn't had the best couple of months. But if you look back to last season, I don't think anyone would have questioned the prospect of trying to sign him on a longer deal, because otherwise, this next summer, he'd be into his final 2 years of his deal. You're starting to then get towards obviously the final year. And if there's one thing that Rangers have not done well over the past few years, it's protect their assets and try and restrict players from allowing their contracts to run down. So it's until 2028. As mentioned, Sterling said in his press release as well, he has got the rewards, so to speak, and he now needs to go and repay that rewards in terms of first team minutes. Where's his minutes going to come this season? How does that tie into Tavernier and Casemiro in the centre of the pitch? All that is to be worked out over the next few weeks. But certainly, if you look at last season, the terms and conditions, if you want, that he came into Rangers on, he was a backup right back to challenge and eventually succeed. Is that the word? Too many. It's been a long day. James Tavernier in that position. By the end of the season, he was one of Rangers' most important players, and you can describe that in a lot of different ways. But he was playing in so many different positions, everywhere from the right wing to playing at centre half to playing in central midfield. It's time for his season, I think, to really kick on. But there's no doubt that there's a really, really good player in there who could become a really, really good asset for Rangers if he can play consistently and if he can play in certain positions consistently. And that will now be the target for Clement between now, certainly, in the next international break in November, getting Sterling back up to speed and getting him into consistent positions to get consistent minutes.
Yep, I thought he did well when he came off the bench on Sunday. This is what he had to say, folks, on his new deal. It's good to get it over the line. I am obviously proud the club have rewarded me because they thought my performances were good last season. And for me, it is just about building on that this season. It gives me extra motivation that I want to do more. I have got the reward and I want to repay it the favour. It's a great place to work every day with a good manager, teammates, staff and fans. It feels like a home. For me, there was no reason to change that. He has become a vital member over the squad over the past year since I came to the club, showing his potential in several positions and always been ready for the team. That is what Philip Clement had to say about it. And Niels Koppen said that as well as their emphasis on external recruitment, it is important we keep a close eye on the assets we have in the squad already. Dujon is a player who has loved his Rangers journey so far, and I'm sure the supporters have appreciated his selflessness and incredible work ethic. Yes, absolutely. He's been a real team player, Dujon Sterling, and I, for one, am pleased that he has extended his future at Ibrox anyway. So, big news today. Ianis Hagi now part of the first team squad. Do you think he'll play some part of Sunday's game against Johnston, Joshua?
Yeah, maybe. It's going to be interesting to see what Clement has to say tomorrow, Derek, because obviously on a couple of occasions he has been kind of quite black and white about it, and we've discussed the reasons maybe as to why Rangers trying to get players out the door to get others in the summer transfer window. It was a bit of a unique situation based on the last few years and where they were in regards of recruitment, but there's no doubt there will be a lot of attention on that on that player and on that situation. I'd be surprised if he starts. Obviously, he's not in the Europa League squad, but at the moment, Cortez is still a number of weeks away. Rabbi Matondo, I believe the initial diagnosis was a couple of months when he first injured his hamstring at Celtic Park in that Old Firm defeat. That leaves Tom Lawrence and Nadim Barami sharing the left wing spot and the central attacking midfield spot alongside the likes of Ross McCausland, but there's just not a huge amount of depth in there. Lawrence wrote about him on the website yesterday. I think he's been good in his underlying numbers compared to last season. They're good. He's also not played more than 90 minutes in the league for Rangers in the last couple of seasons, so he's not someone I think you want to rely on week in, week out, even if it is the fact that he only plays 60 minutes or 50 minutes and Hagi gives you something a little bit different. And maybe just finally, Derek is a little bit more suited to what Rangers are doing this season compared to last season. Last season, they were very direct, a lot of running in the midfield. And I don't think it's that Hagi can't run, but I don't think speed is his strongest asset. I don't think he's a player who, necessarily thrives when he's in big open spaces in the wing and taking on players. He's probably better when he's... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, he's a technician. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Against the low block as well. Teams that obviously camp just outside their box. You want guys like that to unlock defences. I think he'll certainly provide an option for Rangers. Yeah,
give you a bit more, and then should, in theory, if Rangers, as I think, are becoming a little bit less reliant on long balls to create chances and a little bit more patient in their build-up, if not still brilliant in that area, then maybe that allows your number 10 to drop in as opposed to always running beyond, as we saw last season. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens. Rangers have 2 home games up before the next international break as they look to try and continue some more momentum going into that latest international break. But there's no doubt the squad is a bit stronger for having Hagi in it. Again, is he the answer to their long-term problems? Is he going to solve everything? No, but in the context, because a resolution has been agreed between the two parties, it's a situation that I think makes sense.
I think it's win-win. It'll also be intriguing to see if we hear from Ianis on Friday ahead of that St Johnstone game, if Rangers put him up for the press, as well as hearing from Clement Well, I want to hear from Ianis as well, but we live in hope. But right, that'll do us there, folks. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. I'm now hot-footing it over. I told you earlier on in the video this morning, I will be speaking to a Leon podcaster. He got the time wrong earlier, so I hope to speak to him shortly after this video. It will be available to those of you that are Rangers Review Extra members. Hopefully you can join us for that. But for now, big thanks to Joshua and each and every one of you for tuning in. And we'll speak to you a little later on. Bye for now.